Donald Trump is losing it as senior officials in his administration are starting to flip on each other. They're turning against each other in public. So earlier yesterday, you had Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem blame Donald Trump's senior aide Stephen Miller for telling her that Alex Pretty was going to be involved in a massacre, and that's why he was murdered by Donald Trump's Border Patrol Gestapo. We all know that what Kristi Noem said was absolutely false and defamatory about Alex Jeffrey Pretty, and she has been widely condemned for her statements. But she says it was Stephen Miller's fault, that Stephen Miller wrote that script for her, and she was just reading his words. Meanwhile, Stephen Miller is saying that's not really what happened. He said that he was told false information by the Border Patrol and by Greg Bovino and others from the Trump regime who were on the ground in Minneapolis. And now Stephen Miller is saying that a violation of protocol likely took place, resulting in the murder of Alex Jeffrey Pretty. That is a stunning admission by Stephen Miller to publicly state that there were likely mistakes made, but he's blaming the Border Patrol and throwing Greg Bovino under the bus. And meanwhile, you have MAGA Republican state officials attacking Stephen Miller's wife attacking MAGA Republican state officials, and all of this is playing out very, very publicly. So let me just share with you what Stephen Miller said. Miller says that there was a possible breach of protocol before the Alex Pretty shooting. Specifically, here's how CNN reported. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller says officials are evaluating why Customs and Border Protection agents in Minneapolis may not have been following proper protocol before the fatal shooting of VA nurse Alex Pretty. In a statement to CNN, Miller said the White House had provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel that had been sent to Minnesota for force protection should be used for conducting fugitive operations to create a physical barrier between the arrest teams and the disruptors. We are evaluating why the CBP team may not have been following that protocol. And then Miller also said that he was being given information by people on the ground that he then passed on. So he's blaming Border Patrol agents for it as well. Meanwhile, you have Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, attack a Florida state senator, Eliana Garcia, and Katie Miller says Eliana was fired from the Department of Homeland Security in Trump's first term because she failed to show up for work. And this follows Eliana Garcia putting out a statement saying that Stephen Miller should be fired and that the Trump regime needs to immediately stop their ICE and Border Patrol invasions of cities, and that Trump and MAGA are going to lose big in the midterms because of their attacks on the Latino and migrant community. The New York Times reported Latinos for Trump co-founder warns immigration will cost GOP the midterms. State Senator Eliana Garcia, who is a Cuban American, said the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty by Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis was abhorrent. So then Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, attacks her, and then Eliana Garcia responds and says, Katie Miller, invite me to your podcast so we can have a candid discussion how you labeled your then boyfriend, referring to Stephen Miller, a racist when you were upset that he treated you poorly, and me as a mere token Hispanic for the administration. Let's discuss who was responsible for the leaks in the White House and how you helped carve the floor out from under then Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. While all of this is taking place, though, you know what's going on at Mar-a-Lago? Just take a look right here as the Patriot Takes account writes, as the country reeled from the murder of Alex Pretty by federal agents in Minneapolis on Saturday, Trump's Mar-a-Lago club threw a party. Guests were greeted by women in showgirl outfits and sipped champagne by the pool, watching entertainers floating in giant bubbles spread their legs. MeidasTouch account said the following: they're having eyes wide shut parties nonstop at Mar-a-Lago these days. Remember that furry party they had a few weeks back? So as Donald Trump's regime senior officials are out there attacking each other, throwing each other under the bus, Kristi Noem saying it's not my fault, it's Miller's fault. Miller saying it's not my fault, it's Bovino's fault. All of this is going down. Donald Trump is having these bizarre Mar-a-Lago ghoulish parties. Meanwhile, you have MAGA Republican senators going on TV like MAGA Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. Here's what he had to say about Stephen Miller. He's trying to support Stephen Miller here. Here, play this clip.
I hope he can make a deal. As to Stephen Miller, to my colleagues who believe that you can convince Donald Trump that Stephen Miller is a liability for him, good luck with that. When this clock strikes 12 on the Trump era, there'll be a few people walking out the door with Donald Trump. Stephen Miller will be in that group. So I want everybody to know on the Republican side that Stephen Miller is not the problem. Sanctuary cities is the problem.
And so this is a war playing out. It's playing out before our very eyes as the Trump regime continues to collapse, as Donald Trump's approval hits new lows. Take a look at this. Down, down, down goes the U.S. dollar, tumbling to a fresh 4-year low after Donald Trump claims the dollar's doing great. But look, it looks like Donald Trump's poll numbers. Down, down, down go Donald Trump's poll. Trump's overall approval rating right now falls to 38%. Okay, record low, worst ever in modern presidential history. Trump's immigration approval has now fallen to a record low of 39%, and the majority of Americans by far believe that Donald Trump's ICE operations have gone too far and need to stop immediately. And by the way, most Americans believe that ICE should be abolished. Now, as Donald Trump continues to lose it, as his regime is turning on each other, turning against each other, we know that Donald Trump had that disastrous trip to Iowa yesterday where he gave that bizarre speech in front of that crowd. Remember what Donald Trump said? Donald Trump said yesterday at the speech that China will be sending him a bill very shortly to sign. Donald Trump's demented. He thinks, he's cognitively and physically declining before our eyes. Donald Trump believes that China is sending him a bill? He thinks China is Congress? What? Here, play this clip.
And China will be sending me a bill very shortly supporting year-round E-15 to my desk very quickly, and I will sign it without delay, okay? I hope you remember us for the midterms.
Now, this follows Donald Trump confusing Iceland with Greenland and saying he wants to invade Iceland when he was trying to say he wants to invade Greenland, which in and of itself is completely insane. Also yesterday, Donald Trump said this: it's abhorrent. And as California Governor Gavin Newsom said, something is really wrong, deeply wrong with this man. Donald Trump, while talking about Alex Pretty, said that he feels even worse about Renee Good being murdered by his regime because her parents were Trump fans. Play this clip.
It's pretty unusual, but nobody knows when they saw the gun, how they saw the gun, everything else. Bottom line, it was terrible. Both of them were terrible. The other was terrible, too. And I'm not sure about his parents, but I know her parents were big Trump fans. Makes me feel bad anyway. But, I guess you could say even worse. They were tremendous Trump people, Trump fans. And, the daughter was, she was, I don't know if you could say radicalized, maybe not. I don't know. But I hate to see it. I hate to see that.
Oh, and then as you know, with the dollar tanking, Donald Trump says the dollar is doing exceptional. Let's play this clip.
Are you comfortable, Mr. President, with the current value of the dollar? Do you think it's declined too much?
No, I think it's great. The value of the dollar, look at the business we're doing. No, dollar's doing great.
You want to see it decline?
It's very interesting. If you look at China and Japan, I used to fight like hell with them because they always wanted to devalue their yen. You know that? The yen and the yuan. And they'd always want to devalue it. They devalue. And I said, not fair that you devalue because it's hard to compete when they devalue. but they always fought, no, our dollar's very good.
You want to see it decline more, Mr. President? Some of your own.
And then Donald Trump continued to tell people in Iowa and throughout the country that inflation is solved, everything is good, and Americans are rich, when we know how much people are struggling right now. Let's play this clip.
Literally
It just shows how hard it is to clean up, even after you close it. It shows the price that we paid under Joe Biden.
It's the hardest thing when you think of it. You know, inflation we've solved. It's done. We have it good where prices are coming way down. They were just saying in Iowa, the fuel is $1.95. Did you hear that? Somebody said $1.85, but it was $3.50, $4.50 just a year and a half ago. You look at eggs, you look at groceries, it's all down. Everything's come down. Do you notice they don't mention affordability anymore? That's like an old-fashioned word. They brought up affordability.
I also want to mention that Donald Trump's statements, his words, continue to incite violence as he rants and raves like a lunatic on social media over and over again, and continues to attack Ilhan Omar, the Somali congresswoman of Somali descent, congresswoman from Minnesota, and he accuses her of all of these things. Donald Trump's terrorist cells, his radicalized extremist goons, listen to this stuff. And yesterday, Ilhan Omar, during a speech that she was given during a town hall, she was attacked by a Trump supporter who used a syringe to try to, lunge at her, and he sprayed her with some unknown substance. Look at this syringe. We have video of what went down as Congresswoman Omar was charged at by a man. Here, play this clip.
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
Here's what she told CNN afterwards. Let's play this clip.
Representative Omar, are you okay?
I'm gonna go figure if I am, but I feel okay. I feel that it is important for people, whether they are in elected office or not, to allow these people to intimidate us, to make us not fight for our constituents and for the country we love. And as I said, I've survived war, and I'm definitely going to survive intimidation and whatever these people think they can throw at me, because I'm built that way.
Thank you.
And then all of the state regime media and all the Donald Trump sycophants basically tried to mock Ilhan Omar for what happened and saying this is not a big deal. It was like silly string. Why do people care? This is what state regime media does. They try to normalize these attacks. I mean, horrific. Let's play this clip.
And I just got a notice from Ilhan Omar, who just posted actually a short time ago, saying that she's a survivor and not going to let this agitator interrupt her, and she'll continue doing her work. So it's unknown what that substance is, but apparently she is okay tonight. Craig?
Well, we're glad about that. Let's not overdo it there. Ilhan Omar, she's a survivor. It looked to me like silly string, which we used to play with back in the day. Well, Joe Mueller, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Finally, I want to share this with you as well to show you as the Trump regime continues its cover-up. This right here is the woman who recorded Alex Pretty being murdered by Donald Trump's Gestapo. And she had never been contacted by any of Donald Trump's, anyone in the Trump regime. No federal prosecutors at all, no FBI agents, no one from the federal government contacted her. She's been in communication with state investigators who are doing their job. Of course they would reach out to her. But this just shows you the extent of the Trump regime cover-up. Let's play this clip.
Have you been contacted by anyone from the federal government? FBI?
No, I have
Border
not.
Patrol, Homeland Security?
I do have a legal team now who are fielding much of that, and I am no longer accessible in those ways.
I talked to your attorney this morning. She said she had not received any outreach from the FBI or anybody from the federal government.
I do not think they have my name yet. Obviously, they will.
You've given testimony to state investigators.
Yes.
Do you have confidence in a federal investigation?
No. No, I do not. I have faith in various representatives throughout our country who are trying to do the right thing and make sure that justice is served. I have faith in our local government in Minnesota. I think they are wanting to make sure to protect us and investigate it thoroughly, but they are trying to block that from happening. They wouldn't even let the investigative team come to the crime scene. I mean, their goal is to protect themselves and to spin stories.
It's incredible to me, though, that 4 days after this shooting, you have not been contacted by anybody from the FBI or the federal government. Right. What does that tell you?
That they're protecting themselves and they don't care about the truth of what happened.
Now, I'm going to do a whole other video this morning on the Trump's cover-up of the Epstein files. But Donald Trump's DOJ, I should just mention it here, they made a filing before Judge Engelmeyer and Judge Berman in the Southern District of New York Federal Court, where they stated that they're not giving any time limits to themselves. They'll produce documents when they want to, and they say that they've been involved in redactions of millions of documents they saying are being redacted. Check the video that I'm going to do this morning on. I'll do a video in about an hour and a half on it. Check back. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 6 million subscribers. New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.